Hi, everyone. Deborah Hamilton, Hamilton ADR, North Carolina. So glad you're here. I have been speaking to everyone who was here for about 5 minutes before I realized I hadn't turned the recording on, and you would have missed a great program. So I'm so glad that my trusty assistant, who is always with me and always keeping me honest, said to me, you might want to record this. And I said, great, I'm going to do that. So I was speaking about how I hope everyone's 4th of July was safe. I had 2 neighbor dogs stop by my home because they were afraid and got out. Please don't think if your dog wasn't afraid of fireworks last year that they again will not be afraid of fireworks this year. I know that my dogs, interestingly, were a little more aware of the fireworks, and we were pretty far from fireworks except for a neighbor down the street who did a lot of firecrackers. About 1,000, I think. So that was something that was new to them, and they had never had somebody so close do firecrackers. So I'm going to check in with everybody in a minute. I just want to share one more thing that I shared. Tonight, I'm doing a program for Blue River Veterinary Practices. It's a group of veterinary practices, and I want to commend their management because they are being proactive in having educational programs in communication for their staff. The first set that I did for them was to prepare for an emergency in the vet practice. Now, you would think that would include scratches and bites and, sticks with needles or things. However, they were so forward thinking, unfortunately, given what we're living through these days, to want to have me speak about emergencies that arise with someone who comes in to a practice with ill intent. So that's what we're doing tonight. Tonight's my last night. I did 3 of them. And it's been really eye-opening for me because veterinarians really have never had such an issue like this. So it's interesting that Blue River is addressing this, and I'm so glad I'm there to help them. And also that we have to be really more aware. So without further ado, I'm going to check in with everyone. I'm going to start with you, Kieran, because there's a whole big thing going on with Rebound Dog, and you're a big part of that. Tell us a little bit more about it.
Well, you're dressed for the part tonight, Debbie, I must say. Absolutely. And I will mention Rebound Dog with the fireworks. And I hope all of your listeners know that dogs basically pick up on frequencies way above what we do. And as everybody knows, they silent whistle. We don't hear it, but they do. So just imagine what a firework. If you hear a firework down the street, the dog probably believes it's in the house, in the same room. However, and this is probably, I hope I can contribute a little bit. There's plenty of videos on YouTube of fireworks, and the trick is play them to the dog very, very low a few weeks before such events, and build it up gently over the weeks, and then the impact will not be as devastating.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So with Rebound Dog, anyway, the fireworks have been going off slowly for about 2 years, and I think finally the 4th of July is on its way. Rebound Dog is basically an interesting collection of, we'll say, professionals across the spectrum, right across the spectrum, who know there isn't something quite right with the system. And if you step back from the entire system, it's quite obvious that it is incredibly fragmented. And I was doing a little bit of research over the last few weeks, and what sort of jumps out is that a lot of parts of the dog welfare system are set up in a way that actually runs against the original intention. And they're basically not helping as much as they'd like to because of certain complications, or they don't actually see how other parts of the system works. I'm writing a series of articles, which I'll publish over the next few weeks, about the history of dog welfare and how we got here and how crazy some of it is, and then certain solutions. But there's a lot of parts of it Now, I'm going to diverse very quickly, but when you take a look at something like the role of dog trainers and the role of pet insurers, what's quite phenomenal is both of those groupings are only operating at what 10% of the need is or the market is.
Right.
And now I will explain this in figures and different strategies over the next 8 to 10 weeks. But the point with Rebound Dog is this wide collection of experts, and many of them have actually contributed a piece in a book you might mention later. and it's basically, if you like, the reflection of a broad spectrum of expertise, trying to promote conversations and, if you like, change the entire landscape. So I would just say one very quick thing about Rebound Dog is the very first dog training session. This is a conversation we had a few weeks ago. Started with the Stone Age. And it was when Stone Age man learned how to control wolves by, believe it or not, positive reinforcement. In other words, here's some food at the edge of the encampment. The wolves would come in so far, but no further, and that would keep other predators away. So that actually brought the beginning of the settlements, the Bronze Age, the agricultural revolution, industrial revolution, right up to where we are today in the digital world. And the strange thing is when you look at your laptop and the mobile phones and everything in the internet age, it's all connected by a stone, which is silicon. So what Rebound Dog is about is going back to the Stone Age using the modern Stone Age to try and sort out everything that's gone wrong in between.
Awesome.
So I leave that back to you, Debbie.
No, I'm so glad you brought that out, because Rebound Dog is a collection of people who are looking to listen to other people's ideas as well as give their own ideas, which I think is the led by Spencer
Hodgetts, yeah.
Yes, Spencer Hodgetts, thank you, who listens better all the time. He hardly says anything on any meeting. He is a sponge for information. And what his brainstorm is to try to bring people together to think about what's going right. Let's start there. And then let's think about what isn't going right and how we might shift it around. I know when I go to Connie, she and I will have a long conversation on what's right with purebred dogs and what isn't working with purebred dogs. And they're not left out, Connie. So, when Spencer and I got together and when Kieran and I got together, all of you knew that I was helping Kieran with his book. When your child asks for a dog, let one-eyed Leo. I said, I'm happy. I'm great. I don't care if anybody adopts any dog they want, but they have to adopt any dog they want. They can't necessarily be one-sided. And that's how this group works. They really want to promote education. So if you want to adopt a dog, fabulous, wonderful, adopt a dog. But know that you can adopt a Bichon Frise, or you can adopt a Bernese Mountain Dog, or a Wheaton, or an Irish Setter. If you knew that if you got in touch with the Irish Setter Club of America or the Wheaton Club of America, you could do that. So this is what this group does. It doesn't negate other opportunities. It doesn't shame or blame. It actually fosters, wow, I didn't know that. That's really great information. Wow, I didn't know that. And boy, could we implement that? How would we implement that? Give us some ideas. So I think that if you go on the internet, Rebound Dog is on Facebook, so you can join the group on Facebook. And it really is trying to gain members who will assist in giving them input feedback, and also assist in taking the input and feedback that Rebound Dog is going to provide and spreading the word. I think that would be right, Kieran?
That's it in a nutshell. One item that's happened, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Debbie, that in the last week or so, and this is a sort of a real plus for Rebound Dog, is that Tom Van Winkle, who's the head of American Pet.
I know, my favorite guy, and he has been on my podcast. I love him.
Yes, and he has decided to be the CEO of Rebound Dog for the next 3 months pro bono.
How great is that? That's
So
fabulous.
that is quite incredible for an organization, for any organization to it's a big plus for it's pure faith in what Spencer has been trying to do
Absolutely.
that he pulled that off. So it's
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic.
So Tom's prior position, you have it at the tip of your tongue, and I don't, and I apologize, but I think all of us would love to know. He's still there. It's not like he left, but where is he again?
Well, he's the founder of the Humane Society.
Right.
Oh, sorry, he's the founder of the American Association of Pet Parents.
Right.
And he's with the Humane Society as well.
Yeah, I just love him, and he's been on the podcast. So if you want to hear more about him, just go to Why Do Pets Matter, the podcast, and hear about him. So I'm going to check in with you, Connie. It's Kieran brings up a good question. Sometimes when we try to do good, we get stuck in the mud. And I know that the AKC has done a lot of really good things. Today was the 200th breed to be accepted into the AKC books. It's the Bracco Italiano, which looks like a little bit like a bloodhound crossed with I want to say like a pointer, because its coat is sort of like that big splotchy coat. Beautiful dog, lovely dog, been around in Italy for years, but needed to go through the process for the AKC. And so another dog has been welcomed into the purebred dog realm and will be hopefully understood by the people who buy it before they buy it. That's reading Kieran's book, understand what the Bracco Italiano means and needs, and then being able to have it. So Connie, I'd love to hear, your thoughts on what Kieran said and how sometimes we get in our own ways when we try to help.
Well, first of all, Karen, I owe you my profound apologies for not having gotten to the article that you sent. It has been, as soon as I said I'd love to take a look at it, I got absolutely barraged with work from my national breed club board, because of course, how did you know? Because of course we're going into our national specialty season, and oh my God, this isn't done and that isn't done, and everybody's hair is on fire. So if it isn't too late, I would still love the opportunity to comment on it. If it is, again, my profound apologies. But let me just preface my remarks by saying that another very sage Irishman, my father, Robert John Lynch, Irish American, used to raise my two sisters and me with the old saying, "The road to hell is paved with good intentions."
Good intentions.
And he was a very senior FBI agent, so he knew whereof he spoke. And in fact, listening to the phraseology pet parent, that's an example right there, because it, and speaking from the standpoint of being a lifelong, since I was 4 years old, member of the dog fancy and a family member and then owner myself of purebred dogs, Cocker Spaniels, English Setters, and now soft-coated Wheaten Terriers for the past 25 years. I can speak with some conviction about the fact that calling yourself a pet parent totally mischaracterizes the relationship between you and your dog. You are the owner. As the owner, you are responsible for the totality of that dog's health and well-being, literally from whelping box to grave, especially if you are a breeder owner.
Yep.
And of course, Deborah is very, very well aware of this. If you're a pet parent, it's, this cutesy little, the dog is personified, as it should not be. It bespeaks characterizing the dog's behavior as anthropomorphic. Dogs are not people. The beauty of the relationship between the dog and its human owner is the fact that we are higher order mammals. Yes, we have 95% common DNA, but for 30,000 years or more, depending upon what scientific research is current and updated, we have had a unique relationship among all the species on this planet that we cohabit, we coexist, and we thrive together. And dogs have the uncanny capability of understanding human language. We don't understand them really well. Mm-hmm. And that is a continual challenge, especially for those of us who train and compete in performance activities and are constant students of canine behavior. But they understand us. And to the extent that they differentiate between spoken languages. And I will give you several examples. First of all, in Schutzhund training, which of course is used around the world by law enforcement agencies, as well as guard dog agencies and so on and so forth, the commands are given in the German language. Because of the bad breeding, I hope there are no GSD people on this call, but I am going to make a statement that was related by the Los Angeles Police Department in an exhibition that the Canine Corps gave at a fundraiser for canine and human cancer activities and research a number of years ago. The sergeant who was doing the narration noted that all the commands that were being given to the dogs were in German, because he said no law enforcement agency in the United States uses American-bred German Shepherds because of their top line and because of how their back ends have been changed from the normal conformation of a well-structured dog. An American-bred show German Shepherd cannot perform police work, according to this LAPD sergeant. They don't have the endurance, they don't have the capability because their structure has been modified. If you look at a European German Shepherd, for instance, it has a straight top line. It has correct angulation in its back end. It has correct angulation in its front end. And it can run and jump and bring down bad guys all day long. And they do. So the fact that dogs in law enforcement in this country either continually are given commands in German, or if the police department wants to transition them to English, they have to do it by teaching the dogs English, speaks to the fact that dogs differentiate among human languages. I had a personal experience when I was a graduate student at the University of Southern California, spending 2 summer sessions at the University of Geneva, studying international organizations at the United Nations. And in those days, my vocabulary has since very degraded in preference to Spanish, but in those days I was fluent in French. And in fact, I was taking all the graduate level courses at the university in the French language. So I was sitting with a group of kids from USC in a sidewalk cafe along Lac Léman, and enjoying the beautiful Swiss afternoon. And I spoke to a Cocker Spaniel that was seated at the table next to us, and I spoke to him in English. He didn't understand a bloody thing I was saying, so I thought, aha. So I spoke to him in French, and suddenly his head is cocking, and he's responded. So those are distinct cases, one in which I had a personal experience in which dogs definitely differentiate human languages. So we're talking a very, very, very special relationship between human and dog, and to denigrate it by mischaracterizing that relationship, I think, does both species a huge, huge disservice.
You know, it's interesting because there are so many different understandings of how people feel for pets, and yet that deep respect, understanding, and joy that we get with pets is enjoyed by everyone. It's defined differently, but it's enjoyed by everyone. I love the fact I actually was in Denmark and was in a house with a dog. And when I learned Danish, I could actually tell it to sit. So that was really great. So I had the same kind of experience. I only knew 3 or 4 words, but the words I knew actually were for the dog. So that was really important. To that point, I love it because when I speak to veterinarians, some veterinarians get it that their clients want to call their pets their parents of the pet, and others want to stop it as well. And tonight I'm giving this course on speaking the right words and understanding how those words land. And we can actually, as Spencer wants to do, and as Kieran and I want to do as members of Rebound, we really want to have that conversation and understand the need behind the language we use and the desire on the part of the dog and the desire on the part of the person to be able to handle the language that's used. And I know that when I am mad at my dogs, I use a very high-pitched, happy voice to tell them exactly what I think. And I'm hoping they don't understand those words, because most of them are not really nice words. Little Mariah, who my husband keeps repeating that she is false advertising, because we were told she was housebroken. In our house, she is not. She is completely not housebroken. She's 2.5 years old. We're like, what's going on? But she is in and outdoor trained dog. And so without an in and outdoor, it makes it a little difficult. So we've been using some language around her that I hope she doesn't understand, because it would probably hurt her feelings. So we're hoping those English words are not something she knows, because that would be very bad. Susan, how about you? You come from a whole different viewpoint. So Kieran is someone who is deeply immersed in helping people understand dogs and understand the responsibility behind having dogs. Connie and I are both, preservationist breeders. We have strong opinions about how pets should be treated and how they should be talked to. How about you? What do you think?
I haven't really formed an opinion about this, but I did have a very strong attachment to my first 2 Coton de Tulier, and they meant the world to me. And Scientific American Mind magazine in 2015 had an article about the relationship between humans and their dogs. So I still have that on my computer. But
well, you're going to have to share it with us.
Would you like me to send it to you?
Absolutely. Yeah. And before, yes, I would. And I'll share it with Rose. We'll share it with everyone, because everyone wants to read these articles. I mean, in 2015, that's not so long ago. The other thing I want Rose to put in the chat before I forget, because I will. Our colleague who's usually here, Jan Jeremias, is having a wonderful Reiki with Your Pet event this Sunday. And so if you're listening to this, Rose always gets it out quick like a bunny, so you're going to hear this. But it really is something that everyone, especially now, given all the uproar and upheaval and things that are happening in the world, doing Reiki with your pet might be the best hour spent. It's very inexpensive. I think it's like $18, but it's going to be well worth it. We spent an hour with our pets. We have stretching exercises and Reiki exercises for us and for our pets. And I know that sort of is anthropomorphic, but you know what? I can tell you that my dogs love their chiropractor. And Connie, I know you probably have gone to a chiropractor with a dog who got injured doing events. I'll make sure to send that. Thank you, Rose. I should have given you a heads up. My apologies. So Rose will give that to us, but Susan's going to give us the 2015 article. I love these kind of things to come to us as a group and a community, because if we share these ideas, this is sort of the underpinning of what Spencer's doing for rescue dogs. I'm doing for the dogs that live in everyone's family, in the community, in their life, so that they can make sure they understand their dogs better and that they make a plan for their pets. Remember, you're here because this is the MAAP plan. Make a plan for your pets, appoint caregivers, address the needs of your pets, and publish that plan. There's somebody out there who has a new, and I'm going to talk to them, so maybe they'll come and talk to us. They have a new app that keeps all of your dog's information in one place. It also tells other people what's going on with your dog regarding, or cat, bird, horse, with feeding and with medications and things. I had actually created an app like that. My pet was home alone. That was called Pet Home Alone. And I can tell you that creating an app, and Kieran, you can probably bear this out, and so can Connie, and maybe even Susan, creating an app is a monumental task, especially if it has a lot of things you have to fill in, and it keeps updated with the platform on which you build it, because it's not only that when you launch it, it's good to go. Usually 3 to 6 months later, something changes and you have to get the bugs out. That's why we all have those apps on our phones and we have to update them all the time. I usually have 98 I have to update and it drives me nuts, but they all need to be updated. So Susan, tell us a little bit more, because that article, if you recall what it said, but you can also tell us how you feel.
Yeah, I don't really recall that much about it. I bought the article because I was so grieved when I lost my first dog. It was really devastating. And, I've been wanting to form the same type of bond with Maggie, but it's been really, really difficult because of her hyperness. But, I don't know how much of it is my fault versus, and I don't want to say fault or blame, but, is she reacting to me or whatever it is? But,
well, we've been through so much, and you got her right before the pandemic. So, so much has happened. I mean, we all think about where we were, what we were doing 2 years ago now. Cannot believe I'm saying it's 2 years ago now. But I don't know if you guys have the same issue. My son just arrived, I said, and he said, well, Mariah's only like a year and a half old. I said, Thomas, she's 2.5 years old. I said, I know we lost a year there, but she was born at the beginning of the pandemic. I said, so she's 2.5 years old. I said, she's been here since the beginning of the pandemic. So there's time there that we remember, oh my God, I did that in 2019. It seems like I did it a year ago, because none of us have been doing anything except be with our pets for the past 2.5 years. So, and I think that with most of our pets, either we were really diligent about training them, going online, getting videos and things like that to help us train them, or we were just so grateful they were there and helping us get up every morning to let them out, because sometimes that's a really hard thing to do when everything's going awry. So I'm so grateful that I started this conversation the way I did. I know that everyone is going to listen to this recording is going to say, well, what's this got to do about making a plan for your pet? Well, you know what? It has to do with needing to know what you need to plan for your pet, because everybody has a different opinion, right? Everybody has a different opinion, and you need to express to those people who are going to care for your pets what your opinion is of the next step. The other piece is, if you come to a workshop, we also tell you that no one will ever take care of your pets the way you do, ever on the face of the earth. Never going to happen. I know that my 2 girls with Sally and Gordon are getting much better care with Sally and Gordon than they would with me, because they cook for them, they do everything. I'm not sure that my dogs would be able to come home and thrive, being one of a pack now, because they are so well loved. Or they might just be a little bit different than it would have been going forward. But all of us know that when we make a plan and we appoint caregivers and we address the needs of our pets, There are some gotta haves, right? You got to give them the medication. Please feed them the same food because it really doesn't rip up their gut, all sorts of things. But you have to understand that somebody might walk your dog on a leash and not have a fenced in backyard and be a better fit for your dog than someone with a fenced in backyard, or vice versa. If your dog's always walked on a leash, maybe having a fenced in backyard will be fun for them. So don't look at something so literally that it has to be just like you. Look for something that is going to give your dogs or your cats or your birds or your horses the ability to thrive. And that's what we all hope for, that they thrive if something happens to us. And they certainly won't thrive if you don't make a plan, because then you're leaving it to the winds. And sometimes the winds are really phenomenal, and other times the winds, not so much. So this is Deborah Hamilton, ADR, North Carolina. I'm going to wrap this up now because, as I said, I'm doing a program at 8 o'clock that I have to get ready for. I'm so glad all of you were here. I see Marty arrived. I'm so glad you did. We were talking about the ways in which we think differently about pets and how we try to bring different voices into the room, which is really incredibly important, especially if you're making a plan for your pet. So until next time, Deborah Hamilton, and I love each and every one of you. Kiss your pets for me. And until next week, take care. Remember, there are more fireworks in July, so please, please, please make sure your dogs, cats, birds, horses are in. And the link to Jan Jeremias' Reiki is on my Facebook page as well. Rose was nice enough to put it there. It's also in the notes. She put the link in the notes, so you can go right to my Facebook page so you can sign up. I think it'll be a good thing for all of us, especially after the 4th of July for all of our dogs. So until next week, I love you all. Kiss your pets for me, and I'll see you soon.